they wouldn't question if things were working well.
True.
The reality is things are not working well, and we're now looking back and saying, what is it that we're doing wrong? ADHD, you put an ADHD child in front of a screen, it's the worst thing you can do for them. It scrambles their brains. So screens are dangerous, and a child should not be exposed to a screen under 2 years of age. And the evidence is there. But this is the reality of our lives now, is it's there. And how to minimize that. Then sedentary, not getting them moving. Parents don't move. So, and that's why we have such a high obesity rate amongst our population and amongst women versus men. So the Birth to 20 is an amazing study. It was done at Wits, and they followed a cohort of Soweto kids from birth, and now they're 30 plus, okay? But so the interesting observation of the Birth to 20 is that the boys and girls were the same size until they hit puberty.
Right.
Then the boys stayed weight for height ratio okay, and the girls became overweight and obese. Because why? Because the boys still played soccer, and it was cool for them to move, so they continued to be active. The girls, it was not cool to move. They socialized. So the girls then gathered. But where did they gather? Because that's what girls do. Okay, they gathered around food sources. So they sat, and the big thing is the kota. You know the kota, where you take the bread and so that's what they ate. So their trajectories went, and you can actually show it in the study that the girls got fatter than the boys. And it wasn't because of our phenotype; it was because of the behavior related around, food and movement, and the cultural determinants and the things expected of the girl versus the boy.
The boys,
But we all need to move, and it's essential that we move every day, and that we're active every day. And we minimize our screen time and be more present with each other.
Even, mindfulness. I mean, people are eating with their phones and stuff. They're no longer present. We just saw the screen.
And social connectiveness. Communities.
Because
that's why mental disease, there's such a high prevalence of mental disease, because we isolate ourselves. We go into our screen. We live vicariously through that screen, but we're actually not living our lives. We're not communicating with each other, because we humans are designed to be collaborative, to connect, to be present with each other. And yet our modern world is doing exactly the opposite of what we meant to be. We're going against our DNA.
Definitely,
So,
we talked about the protein, but I don't know if you came across the study when I talk about, of course, in health there are a lot of misconception, around various conditions. But one of the things, the kwashiorkor.
Yes.
I remember there was a time where even me when I was in medical school, it was a thing.
It was a thing.
And it was more the protein deficiency malnutrition kind of thing. But later there was actually a study that I forgot the person actually who came with this. Actually, later on they realized, no, actually that wasn't necessarily the case.
No.
So it was the kwashiorkor really the problem with the protein, because after the USA started pushing a lot of proteins in Africa and in these other undeveloped countries. What understanding do we have now about kwashiorkor and what's already its real cause?
Yeah, so the reality is that's not what we're seeing anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
So that it was protein energy malnutrition, but it was. So they were using albumin as a measure of protein,
Right.
And these children were edematous, so they were malnourished, they were thin. They were below the trajectories where they should be, but they were edematous because of the lack of albumin. Okay.
Right,
but what are the factors affecting that albumin? So yes, they were. So kwashiorkor is known as, the word actually comes from, it means when the next child comes.
Oh, okay.
This is the condition that develops when the next child comes. Because the mum was breastfeeding and then she stopped breastfeeding to breastfeed the next child, and suddenly that nutrition that child was getting was no longer there. Okay. And so they were then surviving on water and maybe mealie meal or whatever it was, and not getting the vitamins, the minerals, and the balanced diet, which is what the baby needs. And the baby does need protein, but they weren't even getting plant protein. They were getting no protein.
No protein.
No protein.
Yeah. So the issue wasn't animal protein deficiency.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to think about. And you say, that wasn't necessary. That was the fact there was no protein, and the fact that there wasn't good nutrition. There was a staple carbohydrate
Yeah, yeah.
with
yeah.
no vitamins,
No vitamins,
no minerals.
no phytochemicals, and
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we ran in. And then these kids their immune systems were lowered because they weren't getting the zinc, they weren't getting the vitamin C, and they got infections. And that would then cascade
Yeah.
the whole process. And so
Yeah.
these kids came out, they measles, they died of measles, they have fungal diseases, so many things. These kids were really sick.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, the
is one.
gastroenteritis is definitely. And yes, so actually if we probably look back, it really is very simple. It was just no nutrition.
And this is a key to mention. Often when we think of food, like you mentioned earlier on, people think of food in the boxes, and that's how, unfortunately, we're also taught somewhat whatever nutrition lessons that we got, that there are food for protein, there are food for certain vitamins, and so on. But now that we know, there is no food that have a protein.
Yes.
It's a balance, a complete, albeit it might have different amounts.
Exactly.
We have the apple fruit does have some protein, does have some fat, all the macronutrients that you need, but it's a matter of how much they varies. So if we can have the balanced diet, you're likely to really have everything that one needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is the balance.